Hey everyone, it's Quatch Daddy here. Today I wanted to cover the weapon list for this patch, being patch 1.08. There aren't too many changes across the board here, so I will touch on the current state of the guns of the game. But the main thing I wanted to touch on today is the Guardian, which has received yet another buff this patch, and a pretty decent one at that. This tier list is also going to be tailored to you from me, who has thoroughly reviewed every gun in the game. Please also check out some of the other videos that I've made if you want details of any of the guns in the game. Some key components to consider as part of this tier list will be that this is focused for a solo queue kind of environment and disregards the competitive scene. This is because the content I make is meant for essentially the everyday player. In more specific terms, I will rate all of the weapons in the game based on the gun's capability and strength in situations where it shines, the gun's flexibility to be used in different situations, the amount of value the gun brings, and any potential alternatives or substitutions for the gun. I will also be rating the guns anywhere from S, A, B, and C, just as a reference to frame all of the guns here. So just as a very quick recap as to where I place all of the guns in the game, here's my meta snapshot. The Classic and the Bucky are in the C tier, B tier has the Ghost, Frenzy, Judge, and Bulldog, A tier has the Shorty, Spectre, Ares, Stinger, Marshall, and Odin, and S tier has the Sheriff, Vandal, Phantom, Guardian, and Operator. This is generally a pretty similar state to what we had last patch in 1.07 because not much has changed on the weapon front. However, the main thing to think about here is that the Guardian got much stronger than last patch, and I already thought that the gun was pretty strong already. To summarize the changes the Guardian received, it essentially had its cost reduced from 2500 to 2400, had its rate of fire increased from 4.75 to 5.25 rounds per second, and now has faster weapon recovery from 0.35 seconds to 0.2925 seconds after shooting 3 shots. In practice, this made the already viable gun an absolute joy to use, and the buffs make the Guardian feel both incredibly agile and more lethal than it was before. The gun is able to keep up trades against the big dogs like the Vandal and the Phantom, and still continues to show its strength in its flexibility, being able to be used effectively at all ranges in the game, and is able to easily out-rifle these guns in certain situations, especially at longer ranges. In addition to this, Riot's design philosophy typically favors the players in that they will normally rely on the statistics of the player base in order to make these changes. Although this is great for catering to your audience, and big props to them for that, this is kind of the philosophy that can lead to holes in certain aspects of it, and I think that the Guardian is a great example of this case. I think the way that it is going, the Guardian will hit a point where it actually becomes too strong, and at the same time, players will then properly recognize the strengths of the gun, meaning that its true strength relative to the meta will then become revealed. From this point, the Guardian will just have an unhealthy presence in both ranked and pro play, which will then require subsequent nerfs afterwards. I've seen this happen pretty often in League of Legends, where buffs would just get reverted in a patch or two because they realized that they overdid it with the buffs just for the sake of forcing something to change. Don't get me wrong, I love the playstyle the Guardian promotes and really enjoy the satisfying nature of its shots, but I think Riot might be pushing it with the latest set of buffs here. I could be totally wrong and that the Guardian truly does need these buffs, but that's perfectly okay with me. But in reality, I think the gun is actually just too insane right now. And for those who aren't that familiar, I'll also give a quick recap of the gun and what makes it so capable. For the uninitiated, the Guardian is a semi-automatic marksman rifle that forces its user to focus much more on getting those pinpoint accurate shots and working with longer range engagements, but is also capable of working in closer ranges as well. In terms of damage, it does 65 to the body, 49 to the leg, and 195 to the head, and has no damage fall off regardless of the range. The gun also carries high wall penetration. The gun's able to spray for the first 3 bullets as well, which is extremely useful for when you need to increase your DPS in close to medium ranges, and thanks to the faster bullet recovery time, the Guardian now has fewer windows where the user can be abused as well. The gun's unique piece, in addition to its semi-automatic nature, is that its scope is arguably better than the other rifles, offering a 1.5x zoom when compared to the normal 1.25x zoom that comes standard with all of the other assault rifles in the game. The gun also has the best first shot accuracy out of any rifle in the game, so it very much rewards the aim gods out there who know that they can take the shot. The gun's spray is obviously going to feel a little bit funkier than some of the other guns, as each shot is going to be so spaced out, but there's still a general upswing after shot 3, where shots generally get much more difficult to control, and is where you probably want to stop and reset your recoil. The Guardian's main strength, in addition to being just a good gun, is that its price has been reduced significantly over time. On release, this gun costs 2,700 credits, but the gun is On release, this gun costs 2,700 credits, and the gun is essentially the same as it was before, but now costs 2,400 credits. Other premier guns like the Phantom and Vandal cost 2,900 credits, and although they do have the ability to spray down enemies, the Guardian can still be just as effective as these guns for significantly less. There's also going to be rounds where you will only have enough credits to buy the Guardian, and it's in these cases that make you wonder why the gun was so cheap in the first place. The primary use case for this would be immediately after winning pistol round, and where most of the time you will only have around 3,500 credits to use, which is enough to buy full armor and the Guardian, whereas if you wanted to buy a Phantom or Vandal, you'd probably only be able to get away with light armor, which greatly increases your chances of getting picked off. To summarize, with the buffs the Guardian has received this patch, I see very little chance of it not being used in pro play in at least some way, shape, or form. I would love to see it be used as a potent eco weapon, and even more so by players who simply want to use it for its playstyle and can take advantage of its strength. If you want to learn more about the current state of the weapons in the game, I recommend checking out my patch 1.07 tier list, and if you want to learn about any of the weapons in the game in particular, I again highly recommend you check out any of my other weapon videos, as I have quite a few of them in store. That's it from me. I'll see you next time, and stay fresh, brothers.